The flames roared like a living beast, devouring the two-story home with a relentless hunger. Thick black smoke billowed into the night sky, choking the air, smothering the street in a suffocating haze. Firefighter Jake Thompson gritted his teeth, his muscles aching under the weight of his gear as he charged through the inferno. The radio crackled in his ear. "Thompson, we've got reports of a child on the second floor. Conditions are getting worse. Get in and get out fast." Jake didn't hesitate. The heat pressed against him like a living force, sweat pooling under his helmet as he forced his way up the burning staircase. The hallway was a nightmare of flickering shadows and peeling wallpaper curling like dead skin. He kicked open a bedroom door and found her, Emily. She was huddled in the corner, eyes wide with terror, her tiny arms wrapped around a stuffed rabbit, coughing and crying as the smoke swirled around her. "Hey, sweetheart," Jake said, kneeling down and scooping her up into his arms. "You're safe now." She buried her face in his chest, trembling. "Is my mommy okay?" Jake's heart clenched. Behind them, the fire raged, and he knew the truth. He had seen the collapsed beams downstairs, the flames swallowing the living room whole. He knew the answer she wanted, the answer he couldn't give. "Hold on tight, Emily," he whispered instead, gripping her close and pushing back through the flames. Outside, the world was chaos. Firefighters shouted orders, hoses sprayed water in thick arcs, and sirens wailed in the distance. Jake staggered out of the smoke, Emily clinging to his neck, her small fingers gripping his jacket like a lifeline. Paramedics rushed over, gently prying her from his arms. She didn't want to let go. "My mommy!" she cried, eyes desperate, searching the crowd. Jake stood frozen, unable to speak. Chief Evans clapped a hand on his shoulder. "You did good, Jake. You got her out." Jake swallowed hard, watching as the paramedics checked Emily over. Her eyes locked onto his, filled with something he couldn't face, hope, because he knew that hope would break when they told her. The days blurred into sleepless nights. Jake sat alone in the firehouse kitchen, staring at his untouched coffee, the ghost of Emily's question echoing in his mind. "Is my mommy okay?" He thought about going to see her, to tell her something. But what could he say? In the end, he never did. Instead, he threw himself into work, running into burning buildings, trying to outrun the image of her face. But it followed him everywhere. Emily's aunt had taken her in after the funeral. The department sent flowers, offered condolences, but none of it felt like enough. Because it wasn't. Months passed. Jake avoided the press, the interviews, the commendations. He didn't feel like a hero. Heroes save families, not just part of them. One evening, he found himself parked outside Emily's new home, watching from a distance. The front yard was scattered with toys, a plastic pink bicycle propped against the steps. Emily sat on the porch, hugging the same stuffed rabbit he'd carried her out with. He thought about getting out, about saying something. But before he could move, the door opened and her aunt called her inside. Jake drove away, hands gripping the wheel so tightly they turned white. Then, one afternoon, a letter arrived at the station. Jake opened it slowly, fingers trembling. It was an invitation to Emily's school play. The invitation was written in colorful crayon, signed with a shaky Emily. Jake didn't want to go. He didn't deserve to. But something inside him wouldn't let him stay away. The auditorium buzzed with the laughter of children and the quiet murmur of parents finding their seats. Jake sat in the back, half hoping no one would notice him. When Emily walked onto the stage, dressed as a tiny firefighter, his breath caught in his throat. And then, at the end of the play, she stepped forward to the microphone. "I want to thank someone very special," she said, her voice small but clear. "A firefighter who saved me when I was really scared." Jake felt his throat tighten as she lifted her stuffed rabbit, holding it close. "He told me I was safe, and because of him, I am..." The audience clapped. Jake didn't move. His heart ached, knowing she would never understand the guilt he carried. But in her eyes, he was a hero, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough. After the play, Emily's aunt found him outside, standing by the fire truck parked as a school display. "She talks about you all the time," she said softly. Jake nodded, staring down at his feet. "I don't deserve it." Her aunt smiled gently. "Maybe not in your eyes, But in hers, you're the bravest person in the world. Jake swallowed hard, nodding. Is she okay? She's getting there, her aunt said, squeezing his arm. You helped her more than you know. Jake stood there for a long moment, watching Emily laughing with her friends, feeling the weight on his chest lift, just a little. The guilt never left. It lingered in the quiet moments, in the dark hours of the night. But sometimes, when he felt like it was too much, he thought of Emily on that stage, holding her stuffed rabbit, smiling. And for the first time in a long while, he allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, he had done something right.